those guys went, yeah, I could do that. And so that's what we did. I bought these guys lunch, and they sat and they answered question after question. And I actually did develop a mentoring relationship with several of them. Because here's the thing that we think a lot of times. A lot of times when we say mentoring, we think, well, it's all the pressure of the older generation trying to figure out the problems of the younger generation and solve their problems for them. That's not mentoring. That's not what mentoring is. And frankly, the older generation probably doesn't have time for that. But mentoring is when you're willing to say, I'm going to figure out some great questions to ask. And my job is to go and try to figure out how to get inside my mentor's head. So more of the responsibility is more on the person being mentored than it is really on the person who's mentoring. That's when good mentoring happens. And I've been mentored by some amazing leaders. Wayne Schmidt, who was the pastor of Kenwood Community Church for a number of years. Kenwood was the main church who planted us. He gave me hours of his time. Dennis Jackson, some of you remember him. I've been mentored by some amazing older pastors who have really helped me grow. But I had to learn how to ask. In the younger generation, we need to learn how to ask. So in the last couple of years, I've been asked by a few pastors, younger pastors in our district, will you mentor me? I guess that means you're the old guy now, right? You start getting those kind of questions, hey, will you mentor me, from younger guys in the district? It's like, oh, I've become the old guy. And so I answer them all the same way. I said, no, I won't mentor you. That's what I tell them. But I say, here's what I am willing to do. I won't mentor you, but here's what I'll do. Let's go have some lunch together. And if you will write down, and literally bring with you on paper, write down ahead of time the 10 biggest questions of what you're dealing with, 10 biggest questions of stuff that you're facing, you're dealing with right now. I will sit at that lunch and I will answer every question that you have. I will bust myself answering everything I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'll circle back around and do some thinking on it and do some research, and I'll let you know what it is. I won't mentor you, but if you come with these questions, then I'll do that. And so that's what I'm doing now. I've done this now with a few different pastors in our district, because that's what mentoring really is. So it's when the younger generation actually comes with the questions and is putting the energy forth to actually learn. And that's when you get more out of it. So the older generation, your word is commission. The younger generation, your word is ask. Ask. So here's kind of the vision of what we're wanting to see accomplished. This is kind of our dream here at Frontline. Is we've thought about, wouldn't it be awesome if we could start a mentoring initiative here at the church? Wouldn't it be amazing if these mentoring relationships just started happening at Frontline? Our vision is these 5 zeros that we've looked at in the back. And so as we've talked about the 2 zeros of, we want to get to the point where we see 0 people unconnected in community, and we want to see 0 people unfulfilled in their calling. We believe that no matter what age you are, whether you're 25, whether you're 65 or 75, that my assumption is if you're not dead yet, if I'm not doing your funeral, then you must still have a purpose here. And so we're calling everyone so there would be 0 unfulfilled callings in the church. And 0 unconnected people. We said, wouldn't it be awesome as a strategy for that if we just saw mentoring relationships just becoming a normal thing around here, where younger people were being mentored by older people in the church? Wouldn't it be great if, like, a year from now, if we started this mentoring initiative, and a year from now, mentoring relationships were just a normal way? But by the way, that's the primary way we see discipleship happening all throughout the New Testament, by the way. Older people in a mentoring relationship with a younger person. You see it in Paul and Timothy, and you see it all the way through. And so here's kind of what we've dreamed up, and here's kind of the challenge, I guess I would put out to you. If you're sitting here listening to this message and you feel God tapping you on the shoulder, maybe you already have a name. Maybe maybe you're in the older generation, and already God's given you a name of somebody that you need to be a commissioning voice for, a mentor for. And maybe they live in your own house, and they annoy you, and they sit at your dinner table, and they drink 6 gallons of milk a week, so you have to keep buying more and more gallons of milk. I'm sorry, I digress there. That's me. That's my life. Maybe you instantly know who that person is. Here's what I would say. Go mentor them. Go do it. If God's already telling you that, you know who that is, go do it. You might not need our help. If you're in the younger generation, and as we've been talking, maybe God's been tapping you on the shoulder, and maybe you already have a name. Maybe there's a godly man or a godly woman or a godly couple that you instantly think of, and you see, I need to go ask. Then I would say, go do it. Go ask them to mentor you. Come up with your 10 biggest questions and value their time and ask them if they'll just sit with you and answer those 10 biggest questions. And that's great if you could do that. We've tried to figure out how does this happen more organically than forced, right? We want it to happen as much as it can just organically, how God would just direct you. But there might be some of you here today who would say, I'm feeling God stir my heart on this. I feel like I'm supposed to be in some kind of a mentoring relationship. But maybe you'd say, I'm not really sure how to start that. I'm not sure where to start. I'm not sure who I would ask to mentor me, or I'm not sure who I would mentor. But I'm interested in learning about how to do this. And here's kind of what we've done. We'd love for you, we're starting this mentoring initiative. We'd love for you to go to frontlinegr.com/mentor. And there's a way to just kind of sign up, and we're just going to start kind of a learning journey together. And so our staff is really excited about this. We see this as a really big thing. That, man, wouldn't it be awesome a year from now, whether it's organically or because it's because we actually go through this initiative, if we just got to a point where mentoring relationships were just normal. And it's just a way that we saw God growing people, both the older generation and the younger generation. And so if you go to that /mentor, it'll allow you to sign up, and then we're just going to start communicating with you, and we're going to start talking about what mentoring is and learning a little bit more about this initiative and what it actually takes to do this, and then starting to connect some people into these kinds of relationships. But again, if you don't need that, if you already, just go do it then. Go do it if you feel like God has already equipped you to do it. Some of us just need the kick to get out there and do it. So this is what we're hoping for, and we want to see this happen because we really believe this is going to impact the church, and it's what I think we're supposed to be doing. It's more a model of what you see in the New Testament of how people grew spiritually. And next week, Matthew and I are going to wrap up this series talking about where we're heading for the future, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be an exciting time. So would you bow with me? I'd love to close in prayer, and then Blake's going to come forward and give a couple more thoughts. God, thank you so much for the different generations that are represented even here in this room and in your church. Lord, I can think of no better way to close than just by saying the same prayer over us that Eli taught Samuel to pray. Lord, would you speak, for your servants are listening. Lord, would you speak, for your servants are listening. Would you speak to the younger generation, Lord? Would you give them passion for you? Would you give them visions of what you want to do through them and in their lives to take the kingdom of God forward in this generation? Speak, Lord, for your servants are listening. Lord, would you speak to the older generation? God, would you allow us to hear your voice in a fresh way as we help our kids experience you? God, would you awaken us? Would you make the ground holy again as we listen for your voice and how we can mentor and raise up the next generation? God, we love you. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for the way that you allow us to be the church together. And it's all for your glory, God. It's in Jesus' name we all said. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Brian. Hey, just a couple things before we jump out of here today. Maybe something struck you during the service, or maybe you have a prayer request. We would love the privilege and the opportunity to pray with you. So if you want to come right over here to my right, to your left, at the stage right here, we have some people up here who would love to pray with you. If you're new, we'd love to meet you right out at the orange wall out there. We have Discover Frontline going on right after this service. So if you want to come over there and just get a free lunch, free childcare, learn a little bit more about the church, we'd love to have you come do that. Last thing right here is this series that we're in right now called Join Generations. This is based off of Matthew's book. Matthew is our intergenerational pastor here. And he wrote this book. It's a short book. It's only 120 pages, but it's packed full of information. And this series is only 3 weeks long. We can't cover everything that we have in this book in 3 weeks, so we would love to have you pick up a copy of this after the service and just learn a little bit more about joining the generations together. The books are available at the Welcome Bar. We had a whole bunch of them last week. We sold out, but we got a bunch more this week. So they're only $5 right at the Welcome Bar, and you can join in a little bit and join the generations. So thanks for joining us this weekend. Drive safe out there. It's a little nasty, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.